Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into cerebral palsy. Now, it's a condition that can seem really complex, but we're going to break it all down using a simple yet really powerful analogy that's going to guide our entire journey today. So, this is the idea that's going to guide us. Thinking about this whole process like a dedicated gardener carefully tending to a unique young plant. It's a fantastic way to frame everything, from the very first signs of trouble all the way to the long-term plan for care. All right, so our story really begins with the developmental puzzle. Before we can get into the clues or the care plan, we first need to answer the most fundamental question. What exactly is cerebral palsy? Okay, so the first thing to get is that cerebral palsy isn't just one single thing. It's a whole group of disorders that affect a person's movement and posture. The cause is some kind of issue that happens in the brain while it's still developing. But here's the really crucial distinction. That initial event is non-progressive. It doesn't get worse over time. And just to give you a sense of its significance, cerebral palsy is the most common cause of motor impairment in children. In high-income countries, we're talking about 2 to 3.5 out of every 1,000 live births. So this touches countless families. So, now that we kind of know what we're looking for, how is it actually identified? Well, this brings us to the next phase, the doctor's detective work. Let's dig into how clinicians start looking for clues to understand what's happening with our young plant. So where does the investigation even begin? Well, like any good detective, a doctor starts by gathering evidence. This involves a really detailed clinical examination, a careful search for specific signs or clues that can point them in the right direction. One of the first and most important clues is muscle tone. Is it too high or is it too low? On one side, you have hypertonia or spasticity, where muscles are persistently tight. And on the other, there's hypotonia, where a child feels floppy and has a tougher time with support. How a child walks, their gait, that provides another set of vital clues. Each of these patterns tells a different story. Things like tiptoe walking, a scissoring motion where the legs cross over, or maybe a wide, unsteady gait. These all point the clinical detective toward different underlying issues. So you see, each one of these clues, from muscle tone to gait, is a piece of the puzzle. And by putting them all together, our clinical detective can start to classify the specific type of cerebral palsy, building a really complete picture from all the evidence. And when we look at the breakdown of these types, one really stands out. Spastic CP is by far the most common, making up about 80% of all cases. This is the type most associated with that high muscle tone, or hypertonia we were just talking about. So with the type identified, the next question for our detectives is a big one. What caused it? This means we need to trace the brain's original blueprint to find where the issue started. Now, when we trace the origin, the timing reveals something that a lot of people just don't realize. In the vast majority of cases, we're talking about 80%, the event leading to CP happens before birth. Only about 10% happens around the time of birth, with the final 10% occurring after. And the potential causes within those timeframes are incredibly varied. Prenatally, it could be a genetic issue or an infection. Perinatally, it might be related to oxygen deprivation or the vulnerabilities of premature birth. And postnatally, something like meningitis or a head trauma could be the cause. Okay, so once the mystery is better understood, the focus shifts from investigation to action. It's time to create a comprehensive and supportive plan, the gardener's care plan for the plant. The first thing you have to understand about the care plan is that there's no single magic bullet. The best approach is both holistic, looking at the whole child, and multidisciplinary, meaning it requires a coordinated team of experts. And this team, well, it's just like that group of specialized gardeners we talked about. You have physiotherapists for movement, occupational therapists for daily tasks, speech therapists for communication. They're all working together to support the child's overall development and well-being. These strategies all work together, in concert. Physiotherapy is foundational for improving movement. Occupational therapy helps with practical, everyday skills. Medications can help manage spasticity by relaxing those tight muscles. And of course, nutritional support makes sure the child has the fuel they need to grow. So finally, with a care plan in place, how do we understand the path forward? To help families and medical teams communicate clearly about mobility, the medical community uses a standardized system. And this isn't about predicting the future, but about classifying a child's functional ability in a consistent way. That system is called the GMFCS, or Gross Motor Function Classification System. And a really important distinction here is that this is not a prediction of what's to come. It's simply a clear, shared language to describe a child's current mobility, which helps everyone on the care team stay on the same page. The system's broken down into 5 levels, which gives a really clear snapshot of function. It ranges from level 1 for a child who walks without limitations, all the way to level 5 for a child who is transported in a manual wheelchair. It just creates a common reference point for everyone involved. And while every child's journey is absolutely unique, the research does show that early milestones can offer some helpful insights. For example, if a child is able to sit independently by age 2, they are very likely to be able to walk by age 6. It's just a guide, not a guarantee. Which brings us right back to our gardener analogy. The goal is not to force a plant to become something it isn't. The goal is to provide the perfect soil, the right amount of water, and all the support it needs to flourish and reach its own unique maximum potential. So as we finish up, we're left with a final thought. After this journey through detection, understanding, and care, the question really shifts to all of us. How can we use this knowledge to build communities that are truly more inclusive and supportive for every single child?